Well, greetings and salutations, Series 24 test takers. This is Dean Tenney coming to you from my studio in fabulous Las Vegas with an explication request for Kaplan QID 1432289. The best free supplement to your paid study materials is my YouTube channel, but if you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, it is a great investment as a paid supplement. With my Guru 10 discount code at checkout, I'm not quite sure what the 24 Q Bank comes in. I think it comes in at a little over $100. We'll help you with any question from any vendor. It's just easier if it's Kaplan. For that little commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you a free look on Kaplan content. So reimbursement by the issuer, which of the following expenses borne by the underwriter would be considered, I would prefer it said might, but would be considered compensation by the corporate financing department. So, I would probably use the Sesame Street trick here. One of these things is not like the other. In my time as a solicitor, I had a huge solicitation costs. So, what I mean by that is I'm flying to Brazil, I'm flying to Portugal, I'm flying to New York, I'm flying to Texas. That is typically on me. The cost it takes me as the underwriter to go find the customer or the money. In this case, it's a fundraise, right? So A seems like something that the underwriter would be responsible for paying. Blue sky fees, to register the security in the state, that seems like that would be an expense that isn't part of the compensation. In fact, if, I advance that on your behalf, I would expect to get reimbursed for that if you're asking me to take care of that, or legal fees or printing costs. So I think using what I call the Sesame Street trick, one of these things is not like the other. I would have answered A, solicitation costs, because that's the one that usually the underwriter is being hired to take. I mean, I've never had an engagement where I'm getting reimbursed for expenses. That's usually built into my 8% or 9% or 10%. But anyways, that's why I would have answered that. Let's see what our subject matter expert Kaplan tells us about this. Indeed, the answer is A. And then let's see what the rationale happens to be for this question. Reimbursement from an issuer to an underwriter is commonplace and is not considered compensation if the expense is normally borne by the issuer. Makes sense. Blue sky fees, legal fees, and printing costs are normally paid by the issuer. So yeah, sometimes they'll say, well, Dean, you got more experience. Can your firm take care of it for me and send me a bill? Sure. Therefore, if paid by the underwriters and subsequently reimbursed, is not considered compensation. However, the underwriters generally pay solicitation costs. So I gave you an example of that stuff I'm using to market the deal. The underwriters are reimbursed for these expenses. The corporate finance department would consider that reimbursement to be compensation. So you got to believe in human depravity and original sin. And what the regulators are concerned with is I'm going to disguise like an expense report to the issuer as not being genuine and not legit, but rather just a way to get extra compensation. So that's kind of what that's about. So I'm not sure. I think the test taker told me why they answered something else. Let me just check that real quick and make sure I answered the question in terms of what their challenge was on this thing. Just give me a sec. I apologize. I just want to make sure I took care of this for him. Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not sure where the lecture slides. I don't know if he's talking about my slides or somebody else's slides, but if I gave you that impression, I apologize. Solicitation costs are usually borne by the issuer. All right. Well, remember, inch by inch, your 24 is a cinch. Yard by yard, your 24 is hard. And I'll see you for the next time you have a request.